There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from never saying what you mean, a quiet collapse that happens in the space between what you feel and what you allow yourself to express. You've felt it, haven't you? That tightening in your chest when someone crosses a boundary, that careful rewording of your thoughts until they're so soft, so palatable, that they barely resemble the truth anymore. That moment when you choose silence over honesty, peace over principle, and then spend the next 3 hours replaying what you should have said. You tell yourself it's maturity, that you're being the bigger person, that some battles aren't worth fighting, and sometimes that's true. But other times, you're not choosing your battles wisely. You're surrendering before the war even begins. You're not keeping the peace, you're keeping yourself small. People who avoid confrontation aren't cowards. Let's be clear about that from the start. You're not weak, you're not broken. What you are is deeply conditioned. Somewhere along the line, you learned that your anger wasn't safe, that your disappointment was inconvenient, that your boundaries were negotiable. And so you built an entire personality around not making waves, not taking up space, not demanding what you deserve. But here's the cost nobody talks about. When you avoid all confrontation, you don't just lose arguments, you lose yourself. Piece by piece, compromise by compromise, silence by silence, until one day you wake up and realize you've become a stranger in your own life, living by rules you never agreed to, tolerating treatment you never consented to, all because somewhere deep down, you still believe that your needs are less important than everyone else's comfort. The psychology of confrontation avoidance isn't about conflict, it's about worth. It's about the story you've been telling yourself since childhood about what happens when you speak up. And that story, whether you remember writing it or not, is running your entire life. Let's talk about where this begins, because it always begins somewhere. For most people who chronically avoid confrontation, the pattern was set long before they had language for it. Maybe you grew up in a home where anger was explosive and unpredictable, where a minor disagreement could detonate into something much bigger, much scarier, where you learned that conflict didn't lead to resolution, it led to destruction. So you adapted. You became the peacekeeper, the one who smoothed things over, who anticipated tension before it erupted and diffused it with your compliance. Or perhaps it was more subtle than that. Maybe you grew up in a home where conflict was simply never modeled as healthy, where problems were swept under rugs, where uncomfortable conversations were replaced with cold shoulders and passive aggression, where you learned that good people don't fight, they just quietly resent each other. You absorbed the unspoken rule: confrontation equals failure. If you're mature enough, smart enough, good enough, you should be able to avoid it entirely. Or maybe, and this is often the deepest wound, your feelings were consistently invalidated. You tried to express hurt, and you were told you were too sensitive. You tried to set a boundary, and you were told you were being difficult. You tried to advocate for yourself, and you were made to feel selfish. Over time, you internalized a devastating belief: my emotions are wrong, my needs are burdensome, it's safer to say nothing at all. This is what psychologists call a micro-trauma. Not one catastrophic event, but 1,000 small moments where you learned that your voice was too much, too loud, too inconvenient, where you learned that love is conditional on your agreeability, where you learned that the price of connection is your silence. And here's what makes this so insidious: this coping mechanism worked. As a child, avoiding confrontation kept you safe. It minimized chaos. It earned you praise. You're so easygoing. You never cause problems. You're such a good kid. You were rewarded for disappearing, and so you kept doing it. You took that survival strategy and you carried it into adulthood, into your relationships, into your workplace, into every interaction where you should have spoken up but didn't. But what saved you then is suffocating you now. Because adult relationships require confrontation. Not constant fighting, not drama, but the ability to say this doesn't work for me without apologizing for it. The ability to express disappointment without cushioning it in 20 disclaimers. The ability to hold someone accountable without immediately backtracking to make them feel better. And you can't do that. Not because you don't want to, but because every cell in your body has been trained to associate confrontation with danger. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between having a difficult conversation with your partner and being in actual physical danger. Both activate the same threat response. Both send you into fight, flight, freeze. Except you never fight, you never flee, you freeze, you fawn, you smooth, you accommodate, you disappear. This is the invisible architecture of confrontation avoidance. It's not a personality flaw, it's a nervous system adaptation. Your body is trying to keep you safe using outdated information. It's still protecting the child who learned that speaking up had consequences. It hasn't caught up to the fact that you're not that child anymore. Let's go deeper into what this actually looks like in your day-to-day life, because confrontation avoidance is rarely dramatic. It's not about running from screaming matches. It's quieter than that, more insidious. It's the way you laugh off comments that actually hurt, the way you say no worries when there absolutely are worries, the way you let people reschedule on you repeatedly, take credit for your work, interrupt you mid-sentence, make decisions that affect you without your input. And every single time, you tell yourself it's not worth it. It's not a big deal. You're just being chill. But you're not chill. You're collapsing. And the evidence is in your body. The tension, headaches that appear after social interactions, the exhaustion that has no clear source, the way you rehearse conversations for hours that never actually happen, the way you replay interactions, rewriting your responses, imagining all the things you should have said. This is your psyche trying to discharge the unexpressed truth. This is your body keeping the score. Psychologists have a term for this, emotional labor. But it's more than that. It's emotional erasure. Every time you swallow your truth to keep the peace, you're teaching yourself that your inner experience doesn't matter. You're reinforcing the belief that other people's comfort is more important than your authenticity. And over time, this creates a split, a disconnect between who you are and who you present to the world. You become an expert at reading the room, at adjusting your energy to match what's needed, at anticipating what others want before they even ask. You become so attuned to everyone else's emotional state that you lose touch with your own. You don't even know what you really think or feel anymore because you've spent so long translating it, softening it, making it digestible for others. This is what the psychoanalyst D.W. Winnicott called the false self, a protective facade you build to navigate a world that didn't feel safe for your true self. And the tragedy is that it works so well that you forget it's a facade. You start to believe that the accommodating, easygoing, never-complaining version of you is the real you. You start to take pride in it. I'm just a peaceful person. I don't like drama. But beneath that, there's a version of you that's screaming, that has opinions, that feels angry and hurt and disappointed, that wants to slam doors and raise their voice and say, actually, no, that's no. Okay with me. And you've been suffocating that version for so long that you don't even recognize them anymore. Here's where it gets even more complicated. Confrontation avoidance doesn't just hurt you, it hurts your relationships. Because when you never confront, you never give people the chance to truly know you. You never let them see your edges, your limits, your full humanity. You present a version of yourself that's infinitely flexible, endlessly patient, never needing anything. And people believe you. They take you at face value. They assume that because you never complain, you're never hurt, that because you always agree, you have no preferences. And then you resent them for it, for not reading your mind, for not seeing through your performance, for taking advantage of your generosity. But how could they know? You've trained them to believe that you have no boundaries. You've made it so easy to overlook you that they do exactly that. This is the quiet tragedy of confrontation avoidance. You lose the very connection you're trying to preserve, because real intimacy requires conflict. It requires the risk of disappointing someone, of being misunderstood, of having someone be upset with you, and trusting that the relationship can hold it. When you avoid all confrontation, you don't create harmony. You create a relationship based on one person's comfort and the other person's silence. That's not peace. That's a truce. and you're the only one holding up the white flag. There's a particular kind of loneliness that comes with this. You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly unseen because they don't know you, not really. They know the version of you that never rocks the boat. The version that says yes when you mean no. The version that smiles through hurt. But the real you, the one with needs and limits and a breaking point, that person is invisible. And the longer this goes on, the more exhausting it becomes. Because you're not just managing your own emotions, you're managing everyone else's too. You're constantly calculating, if I say this, how will they react? If I express disappointment, will they get defensive? If I set a boundary, will they think I'm difficult? You're running simulations of conversations in your head, trying to find the magical combination of words that will allow you to express yourself without causing any discomfort whatsoever. Spoiler, those words don't exist. Spoiler, those words don't exist. There is no way to assert yourself without risking someone's discomfort. That's not a flaw in your communication. That's just the reality of being human. Boundaries, by their very nature, create friction. And if you're waiting until you can set one without anyone feeling anything about it, you'll be waiting forever. So what happens when you finally reach your limit? Because you always do, eventually. There's only so much you can swallow before it comes back up. And when confrontation avoiders finally break, it's rarely proportional. It's not a calm, measured conversation, it's an explosion. Years of unexpressed frustration pouring out all at once, often over something small, something that wouldn't have mattered if it wasn't representing everything else you never said. And then you feel terrible, because this is exactly what you were trying to avoid. You've confirmed your worst fear that your ER is destructive, that confrontation ruins things, that you should have just kept quiet. So you apologize profusely, you retreat back into silence, and the cycle continues. But here's what you need to understand. That explosion wasn't caused by confrontation. It was caused by the absence of it. It was the inevitable result of years of self-abandonment. You didn't fail because you finally spoke up. You suffered because you waited so long to do it. Let's reframe what confrontation actually is, because the word itself has been weaponized against you. Confrontation doesn't mean cruelty. It doesn't mean aggression. It doesn't mean destroying someone with your words. Confrontation at its core is simply truth-telling. It's saying, this is how I feel, and trusting that the relationship can hold it. It's believing that you are allowed to take up space, that your experience matters, that love doesn't require you to disappear. Healthy confrontation is an act of respect. It says, I trust you enough to be honest with you. I believe our relationship is strong enough to handle my truth. When you avoid confrontation, you're not protecting the relationship. You're actually saying, I don't trust that you can handle the real me. I don't believe we're solid enough to weather discomfort. And yes, some people will respond poorly. Some people have built their entire relationship with you on your silence, and they won't like it when you find your voice. Some people will call you difficult, dramatic, too sensitive, all the things you were called as a child, and that will hurt. But their discomfort with your boundaries is information. It tells you who was invested in the real you versus what was invested in your compliance. The people who truly love you will adjust. They might be surprised. They might need time to recalibrate, but they will meet you there. Because real love doesn't require your silence. Real love wants your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Here's the practice, and it starts smaller than you think. You don't need to have a massive confrontation tomorrow. You don't need to suddenly become someone who fights every battle. You start by noticing. Notice when you swallow your truth. Notice the moment you rephrase to soften. Notice the tightness in your chest when you say it's fine and it's not fine. Just notice. Don't judge it. Don't try to fix it yet. Just become aware of how often you abandon yourself. Then practice micro-confrontations. Not the big stuff, the small stuff. Actually, I'd prefer to meet at this time. I didn't appreciate that comment. Can we talk about what happened yesterday? These tiny assertions are how you rebuild trust with yourself. They're how you prove to your nervous system that confrontation doesn't equal catastrophe. And when you do speak up, you will feel terrible. Your body will scream at you that you've done something wrong. You'll want to immediately take it back, to apologize, to smooth it over. This is normal. This is your old programming panicking. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Remind yourself that discomfort is not danger, that you are allowed to have needs, that your voice deserves to exist. Healing from confrontation avoidance isn't about becoming aggressive. It's about becoming honest. It's about slowly, carefully, learning to trust that you won't be abandoned for telling the truth. It's about discovering that the right people will stay, and the ones who leave, they were only ever in love with your silence. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by people who wanted you to be less, and you don't have to keep making yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Your voice matters. Your boundaries matter. You matter. Not because of what you do for others, but because you exist. If this resonated with you, know that you're not alone in this. Thousands of us are learning to speak after years of silence. And if you want to continue exploring these hidden parts of yourself, these truths we rarely say out loud, stay here. There's more to uncover, more to heal, more to become